Bretonnerie in the department of Indre, 1856, by Gustave Courbet, now housed in the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., stands as a serene yet powerful evocation of rural France. Painted during a period when Courbet sought refuge from the turbulence of Parisian artistic life, the work reflects his deep attachment to the landscape and his commitment to realism. Rather than presenting nature as an idealized vision, Courbet captures it as it is, unembellished, tangible, and full of lived presence. Created in the mid-19th century, this painting belongs to a decisive phase in Courbet's artistic philosophy, when he insisted on depicting the truth of what he saw. The tranquil countryside of Indre becomes a moral landscape, an image of authenticity and endurance set against the artificiality of the city. The muted palette of browns, greens, and greys grounds the composition in an earthy realism, while the diffused light, neither dramatic nor sentimental, evokes the stillness of a place untouched by spectacle. The absence of human figures paradoxically enhances the sense of human presence. The farmhouse, the damp meadow, and the surrounding trees all suggest the quiet labor and continuity of rural life. The painting's symbolism is subtle yet profound. The small dwelling nestled within the vastness of nature expresses stability, humility, and harmony values central to Courbet's worldview. The unadorned beauty of the land speaks of resilience and permanence, qualities he believed embodied the essence of the French countryside. In this sense, La Bretonnerie is not only a landscape but also a declaration of faith in the enduring relationship between humankind and the earth. Beyond its aesthetic quietude, the work reveals Courbet's philosophical defiance. By stripping the landscape of grandeur, he challenged the prevailing romantic ideals of the sublime, replacing emotional excess with sensory immediacy. Courbet invites viewers not to dream of nature, but to confront it, to feel its weight, its air, and its silence. Through this, La Bretonnerie becomes a meditation on perception itself, suggesting that truth in art arises not from invention, but from observation. In its broader legacy, this painting prefigures the evolution of modern landscape art. Courbet's fidelity to the visible world deeply influenced the early Impressionists, Monet, Pissarro, and Sisley, who expanded his insistence on painting from life into their exploration of light and atmosphere. La Bretonnerie in the department of Indre thus bridges realism and modernity, serving as a cornerstone for the naturalist vision that defined 19th century French painting. Painted in 1860, La Roche Oraguay, Vallon de Maisières, Doubs, the Oraguay Rock, Maisières Valley, Doubs, exemplifies Gustave Courbet's deep attachment to his native Franche-Comté, a region whose rugged landscapes became both subject and symbol of his realist convictions. The work, now housed in the Museum Folkwang, captures a limestone formation towering above the winding valley of the Doubs River. Its monumental stillness and earthy grandeur speak not only to the geological reality of the place, but to Courbet's desire to elevate the landscape of his homeland to the status of history painting. Courbet painted the scene with the precision of a geologist and the emotion of a patriot. The dense layering of pigments, built up with a palette knife rather than a brush, gives the rock its tactile solidity and the surrounding vegetation a vivid physical presence. The cloudy, diffused light suggests a moment suspended between storm and calm, a recurring atmospheric condition in Courbet's landscapes that enhances their sense of timeless endurance. The vantage point slightly below the rock intensifies the viewer's feeling of awe before nature's grandeur. Thematically, the painting transcends simple topography. Courbet transforms the rock into a metaphor for the endurance of his provincial roots against the encroachment of modernity and the artistic conventions of Paris. The Doubs Valley, familiar and unpretentious, becomes a stage upon which Courbet asserts his artistic independence. The restrained palette of greys, greens and ochres mirrors the honest beauty of the countryside, rejecting the idealized color harmonies favored by romantic landscape painters. This painting also represents Courbet's dialogue with nature as a living presence rather than a backdrop. His landscapes, unlike those of the Barbizon painters or the Romanticists, are devoid of narrative embellishment. The absence of human figures emphasizes the autonomy of the natural world, while the monumental scale of the rock hints at Courbet's belief that nature itself possesses a moral force. In this sense, La Roche Oraguay may be seen as a self-portrait in disguise, steadfast, unyielding, and defiantly authentic. The influence of this landscape tradition can be traced forward to the symbolists and early modernists, who admired Courbet's fusion of materiality and emotion. Painters like Cézanne and Pissarro would later adopt his focus on the structural power of the natural world, while still preserving the tension between observation and expression that Courbet pioneered. From a critical standpoint, La Roche Oraguay, Vallon de Maisières, Doubs exemplify Courbet's genius in merging realism with transcendence. What appears to be a simple geological study becomes, under his brush, an allegory of endurance of nature, of the artist, and of a provincial truth standing firm against metropolitan artifice. The painting embodies the credo Courbet once declared, "I cannot paint an angel because I have never seen one." Here, what he has seen, a rock, a valley, a play of light, becomes more profound than any imagined vision. Painted with quiet reverence and formal mastery, View of Ornans by Gustave Courbet offers an intimate portrayal of the artist's birthplace in the Franche-Comté region, now held in the collection of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. This landscape is both a declaration of belonging and an early manifesto of Courbet's realist principles. Unlike the idealized vistas of romantic painters, Courbet's view of Ornans is grounded in observation, a faithful depiction of the familiar valley, river, and clustered rooftops of his native town, rendered with a humility that reveals profound affection for the ordinary. Courbet's composition presents the Lou River as it winds gently through the valley, dividing the town from the surrounding hills. The subdued light and earthy palette of grays, greens, and browns convey the atmosphere of a region defined more by endurance than grandeur. His method of building up paint with a palette knife rather than a delicate brush creates a dense material surface, emphasizing the tactile reality of stone, soil, and water. The scene feels at once lived in and eternal, an image of permanence drawn from the textures of rural life. Beneath the apparent simplicity of the composition lies a deeply personal meaning. For Courbet, Ornans was not merely a setting, but the very foundation of his artistic and moral identity. By portraying his village with the gravity traditionally reserved for historical or religious subjects, he elevated the provincial landscape to a universal symbol of authenticity and rootedness. In doing so, he challenged the Parisian art establishment's hierarchy of subjects, affirming that truth and beauty could be found outside the capital's mythic ideals. The painting also reflects Courbet's broader vision of realism as a moral and philosophical stance. His approach to landscape was neither nostalgic nor sentimental. Rather, it was an assertion of the coexistence between humanity and nature. The view is unpopulated yet profoundly human. The town's presence amid the land hints at labor, continuity, and the rhythms of daily life. It is this synthesis of observation and empathy that distinguishes Courbet's landscapes from those of his predecessors. Courbet's view of Ornans would later inspire generations of artists seeking to reconcile personal geography with universal meaning. Its honest depiction of place influenced the Impressionists' devotion to plein-air painting, as well as Cézanne's structural understanding of the landscape as a means of expressing permanence and truth. From an art-critical perspective, View of Ornans stands as a cornerstone of Courbet's realism, a painting where artistic technique, personal conviction, and philosophical depth converge. The work is not merely a record of a beloved town, but a declaration that every landscape, however modest, contains the essence of human experience. In its quiet power, Courbet's Ornans becomes not only the home of the artist, but a metaphor for the steadfast dignity of the realist vision itself. Gustave Courbet's A Brook in a Clearing, possibly titled Brook, Valley of Fontcouverte, study, painted in 1862, is a serene yet powerful evocation of nature's inner vitality, now housed in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, New York. In this work, Courbet captures a secluded woodland scene with a stream winding through a lush green clearing, the dense foliage, moss-covered rocks, and dappled light filtering through the trees reveal his mastery of plein-air observation. Unlike the idealized landscapes of academic tradition, Courbet's rendering is visceral and direct, a dialogue between the artist and the living matter of nature itself. The painting's composition conveys both intimacy and monumentality. The brook, with its rippling reflections, acts as a living artery that animates the forest. The earthy tones and tactile brushwork demonstrate Courbet's physical engagement with paint, as if he were sculpting the terrain from pigment. The absence of human figures further deepens the viewer's immersion in this silent, breathing world. Courbet's choice to study such an unassuming corner of the natural landscape reflects his realist philosophy, the conviction that truth lies not in grandeur, but in the immediacy of what one sees and feels. Here, nature becomes both subject and spirit, embodying the same untamed independence that defined Courbet himself. Today, a brook in a clearing stands as a testament to Courbet's ability to merge raw observation with emotional depth, transforming a modest study into a meditation on nature's eternal presence. Gustave Courbet's The Snow-Covered Forest, 1862, now in the Marubeni Gallery, is a masterful study of solitude and silence within nature's frozen stillness. In this work, Courbet depicts a dense forest blanketed in snow, where the muffled atmosphere evokes both serenity and isolation. The towering trees, rendered with earthy browns and deep greens beneath layers of white, create a rhythmic structure that draws the eye inward, into a space where time seems suspended. The subdued palette and diffused light capture not only the chill of winter, but also the profound quiet that follows a snowfall. Courbet's technique reveals his physical rapport with the landscape. His thick, almost sculptural brushstrokes lend weight to the snow, while the interplay of shadow and reflection brings depth to the scene. The painting's power lies in its restraint. No dramatic sky, no narrative figures, only the raw poetry of nature itself. This winter landscape embodies Courbet's realist conviction that truth and beauty dwell in the immediacy of the natural world. Through texture and tone, he transforms an ordinary forest into a vision of spiritual calm, where nature's grandeur emerges through simplicity. The snow-covered forest thus stands as a meditation on transience and endurance, an image of life stilled yet quietly enduring beneath the snow. Gustave Courbet's A Brook at Le Puits Noir, near Ornans, 1864, housed in the Harvard Art Museums, captures the secluded poetry of the Jura landscape that so deeply shaped the artist's vision. In this painting, Courbet portrays a shadowed brook winding through the ravine of Le Puits Noir, a place near his native Ornans, famed for its dark waters and dramatic rock formations. The subdued light filters through the dense foliage, glimmering faintly on the surface of the water. Every detail, the mossy stones, the damp air, the interplay of reflection and shadow, reveals Courbet's profound sensitivity to the living texture of nature. Executed with his characteristic impasto, the painting conveys a palpable sense of materiality. Courbet's brush seems to carve the landscape as much as paint it, transforming pigment into earth, water, and stone. His dark tonal harmonies evoke a deep stillness, a kind of spiritual solitude where the viewer can almost hear the soft murmur of the brook. This work reflects Courbet's mature realism, no longer preoccupied with narrative or figure, but entirely devoted to the truth of place, to the intimacy of nature, seen, felt, and remembered. Through this secluded landscape, Courbet transforms a familiar corner of his homeland into a meditation on permanence and mystery. Deer Running in the Snow by Gustave Courbet, currently housed in the Artisan Museum, Ishibashi Foundation in Cho City, Japan, exemplifies the painter's unique ability to merge movement, atmosphere, and emotion within the natural landscape. Painted during the mid-19th century, Deer Running in the Snow belongs to a period in which Courbet had firmly established his reputation as a pioneer of realism. By this time, he had turned increasingly toward landscapes and animal subjects, exploring the vitality and drama of the natural world. The harsh winters of his native Franche-Comté, with their vast forests and remote valleys, deeply informed his vision, allowing him to depict nature not as an idealized backdrop, but as a living, dynamic force. Courbet approached nature with an unflinching directness that rejected the polished conventions of academic art. In this work, he sought to capture the spontaneous energy of a single, fleeting moment. A deer in mid-flight through the snow. His technique, characterized by thick impasto and expressive brushstrokes, mirrors the vitality of the scene itself. Unlike romantic depictions of nature as sublime and distant, Courbet's approach is grounded, physical, and immediate. The painting's composition is defined by sharp contrasts of tone and texture. The warm brown body of the deer cuts through the pale expanse of snow, creating a tension between motion and stillness. Courbet's heavy application of white and grey pigment suggests the density of snow and the muffled silence of winter air. The forest recedes into shadow, its darkness evoking both protection and peril. Symbolically, the painting captures the fragility of life in the midst of overwhelming natural forces, a recurring motif in Courbet's later works. Beyond its surface realism, Deer Running in the Snow can be read as an allegory of instinct and survival. The deer's motion embodies both fear and resilience, reflecting humanity's own struggle within an untamed world. Courbet's empathy for the animal mirrors his broader philosophy, that all living beings, human or otherwise, are inseparable from the rhythms of nature. The painting thus becomes a meditation on existence itself, suspended between vulnerability and vitality. This painting anticipates later developments in modern art, particularly the Impressionists' fascination with light, texture, and fleeting movement. Courbet's tactile realism and emotional immediacy would influence artists such as Manet and Cézanne, who shared his desire to render truth without embellishment. Within Courbet's oeuvre, Deer Running in the Snow stands as one of his most poetic statements on the unity between animal life and the landscape that sustains it. Viewed today, Deer Running in the Snow remains a profound testament to Courbet's ability to animate the ordinary with monumental intensity. The painting's raw brushwork and atmospheric power draw the viewer into the pulse of nature itself. It is not merely a scene observed, but an experience felt, a masterful synthesis of movement, emotion, and material presence that epitomizes Courbet's enduring realism. Fox in the Snow, 1860, by Gustave Courbet, housed in the Dallas Museum of Art, stands as one of the artist's most powerful meditations on the raw, untamed energy of nature. It marks a turning point in Courbet's evolution from social realism toward a more elemental, almost primal engagement with the natural world. The painting captures a single moment of violent grace. A fox lunging through the snow, its motion frozen by the artist's brush, yet vibrating with tension and instinct. Created during Courbet's retreat to his native Franche-Comté, the work reflects his deep familiarity with the forests, valleys, and rugged terrain that had shaped his artistic vision. Unlike his earlier portrayals of peasant life, Fox in the Snow dispenses with human presence altogether. What remains is nature itself indifferent, harsh and alive. Courbet transforms this landscape into a stage where the drama of existence plays out in its purest form. Compositionally, the painting is both dynamic and tightly controlled. The fox erupts diagonally from the left foreground, its reddish fur flashing against the stark white snow. The brushwork is vigorous, almost sculptural. Thick impastos create the illusion of snow kicked into motion, while subtle tonal contrasts evoke the chill air and the tension of pursuit. Courbet's manipulation of light fragmented, directional, and unidealized heightens the sense of immediacy, situating the viewer within the visceral moment of the hunt. Symbolically, the fox embodies cunning, resilience, and isolation qualities that resonate with Courbet's own self-image as an artistic rebel. The desolate winter setting mirrors his belief in the struggle inherent in both nature and creative life. Yet beneath the harshness lies empathy. Courbet's gaze upon the animal is neither sentimental nor detached, but profoundly humane. The fox, though small and vulnerable, asserts its vitality against a vast, indifferent world. Beyond its naturalistic precision, Fox in the Snow approaches the metaphysical. It reveals Courbet's conviction that truth in art resides not in idealized beauty, but in the physical reality of existence. The painting's tension between motion and stillness, life and the cold silence of the landscape suggests a universal rhythm, an eternal cycle of survival and decay. This work anticipates modern tendencies toward expressive realism, influencing later artists such as Monet and Cézanne, who admired Courbet's direct handling of paint and his rejection of artifice. The emotional immediacy and tactile force of the canvas point toward the modern conception of painting as both a record of perception and an embodiment of the artist's physical engagement with the world. Today, Fox in the Snow remains a haunting testament to Courbet's unique vision, a union of observation and emotion, matter and meaning. It is not merely an image of a creature in motion, but a statement about life's persistence amid nature's indifference. A profound reflection of the realist credo that all truth, however fleeting, begins in the world as it is. The deer, 1865, now housed in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, captures the artist's deep reverence for the natural world and his mastery of realist expression through both observation and emotion. Emerging from his mature period, this painting reflects Courbet's growing fascination with animal subjects, particularly the deer, a recurring motif that embodies the untamed vitality and melancholy solitude of the wilderness he so passionately admired. Painted during Courbet's retreat to his native Franche-Comté, the deer reveals the artist's devotion to representing nature as it truly appears, raw, dignified, and unembellished. The stag, standing against a shadowed woodland background, is rendered with a sculptural solidity that commands attention. Courbet's vigorous brushwork and tactile handling of pigment give the animal's fur and antlers a striking physicality, as though they might emerge from the canvas. The setting is austere and somber, evoking the damp chill and stillness of the forest after rainfall. Rather than depicting a dramatic hunt or violent struggle, Courbet presents the deer in a moment of stillness and introspection. Its gaze, alert yet distant, captures a poignant tension between strength and vulnerability. The atmosphere is thick with silence, a silence that amplifies the creature's solitary majesty. Here, Courbet departs from the sentimental animal painting traditions of his contemporaries, transforming his subject into a symbol of endurance and spiritual presence within nature's vast indifference. In formal terms, the muted palette of earthy browns and deep greens contributes to the painting's meditative tone. Light filters softly through the trees, striking the deer's hide with restrained highlights that articulate both volume and life. Courbet's brushwork oscillates between meticulous modeling and loose, expressive passages, embodying the tension between realism and painterly abstraction that defines his mature style. Interpretively, the deer can be seen as a self-reflective image and emblem of the artist himself, standing defiant yet isolated amid the encroaching shadows of society and convention. Just as the deer inhabits the liminal space between wilderness and civilization, Courbet stood between the romantic past and the emerging modern sensibility. The painting resonates with a quiet dignity, testifying to Courbet's belief that truth and beauty lie not in idealization, but in the unvarnished realities of existence. In the broader trajectory of Courbet's oeuvre, the deer serves as a bridge between his early rural realism and his later more poetic explorations of landscape and solitude. It anticipates the emotional naturalism of later masters such as Rosa Bonheur, and even hints at the psychological depth that would inform symbolist depictions of nature. Ultimately, the deer stands as a profound statement on the harmony and the estrangement between living beings and their environment. Through its subdued drama and meditative power, the painting conveys Courbet's unwavering dedication to rendering the natural world as both subject and metaphor, a mirror for the human spirit's quiet resilience before the vast, unchanging rhythms of nature.